think the biggest thing we had to get through to our kids is that you're a year older, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're better. Everyone now has a target on you because you just came up to this conference and you won every game, but you were close. And everyone now is going to have that a little bit that circled on their calendar, kind of like what we had the year before that in the Suburban Green, where everyone's best game is ours. That's kind of what we go into every week thinking is we're going to get their best because we've been kind of at the top for a while. And you gotta root that out of their head because that sense of entitlement can be pretty dangerous and can lead to some bad losses when you're maybe a better team.
Blocking and running wise, you bring a lot back with Kendall Young, who's one of the better running backs in the junior class in the area.
We had two backs last year. One who Tyreek Williams, who broke his collarbone or sprained his AC joint really bad and was out for several weeks. And Kendall really took off and ended up being the guy that carried the mail a little bit for us. Ended up with 1,000 yards, leading rusher in our conference. And so he really stepped up when we needed him last year. And it's a credit to the whole line kids that we have. We have 3 returning guys that were pretty darn good last year, and then we have 2 that have stepped up, maybe even a third or fourth. And we've got more depth on our O-line and size than we've had forever. So I think we're going to have a pretty good environment to run behind with that group.
Quarterback, it seems like they're kind of rotating some guys, but who can we expect to potentially be calling those plays?
So right now it's between Chase Behringer, who had gotten reps last year, him and McCoy Brown, who's a sophomore, and those two have been splitting reps and competing for that position over the summer. Both of them have some athletic ability. Can run the ball. They're smart. They got good arms, and so we've got a pretty good luxury here with 2 quarterbacks that I think are pretty darn good. And the best thing about those two is they've been supporting each other, and they go over reads when they mess up, and they celebrate when the other one does well and build the other guy up when he doesn't. So it's a good quarterback room, and I'm excited about both their potential. It's hard to root for the guy you're competing against, but our culture here is that you're family, and even if the guy's got what you want, it's still a team, and you got to set your ego aside because ultimately you're going to remember being on a winning team as opposed to necessarily being the guy all the time.
You have a couple pretty good receivers coming back. Jay Sean Tiller, he was all conference, and then you mentioned Rowan Jackson. At least 2 guys you can definitely identify and look at as guys that you can get the ball to and have some success.
Yeah, those 2 pretty dynamic, tall, lanky, and got pretty good long speed. Another kid that stepped up is Kobe Barton this summer at the slot. He's filled in really nice, been physical blocking, which we asked that a lot about our slots. A couple other kids have been working their tail off too, seniors that are going to get some reps for us is Connor Zur and Connor Polsak. Those 2 have been working their butts off, and it's been fun to watch them compete out here too.
Defensively, you guys allowed 25 points a game last year, but you do return a lot of those guys, and usually you guys are pretty good at getting better once you return a lot in a certain unit there.
We've moved Justin Cornett into the inside, and he played a lot for us last year in the outside position. And then Aiden Dooley's another kid that's kind of taken over that outside linebacker spot and looks pretty good. And then our secondary is all kids that got either started or got a ton of reps last year. And Mason Casso, Aiden Ami, back at 2 safeties. Man, those 2 might be one of the better safety duos in the area. I think they're darn good. And then Anthony Wilson and Quincy Rainey, and then Jabari Harris. All 3 kids at corner, and Jack Renninger. We have 4 corners we're pretty confident in, which we haven't had that depth there in a long time. D-line wise, we got Mohammed Hussein and then Clayton Brunner back and AJ Johnson. So we've got 3 kids with a lot of experience. And then we've been repping a freshman up with us named MJ Zamaripa, who's going to be the next stud defensive end for Rockwood Summit, I think. We've kind of had a good run of them for a while.
For the, Suburban Radware, that might be one of the closest run conferences in the whole state.
There's really no down weeks this year. We need that tough regular season so that we can, have the iron sharpen iron, to borrow a pretty terrible cliche, but we needed that. And this last season, we did. I think we had 5 or 6 either overtime or 1-score games. We needed that. And that made this group more resilient, and it's gonna pay dividends this year too, because everyone in our conference is better. They're all young last year, including us. So people have long memories. They're gonna come out this year and they're gonna want to take a piece of us.